Hi, it's so nice that you're here to quickly get brainted with me. I'm your host, Laura, and welcome to my Mindful Storytelling podcast.
Hi, and welcome to another Quickly Get Brainted episode with me. Thank you so much for being here again. I'm very sorry just for the beginning. As you saw in the title, it's about stress and sickness. So I'm obviously recording this episode with a cold. It's nothing dramatic, nothing serious, but one of those stubborn colds that makes you go slower, whether you want it or not. And while I was lying there trying to rest in bed, coughed and snuffed around me, I caught myself thinking the same thing I've thought so many times before. Why now? Why me? Why? Because honestly, I don't feel like I've been doing anything wrong. I'm working, I'm moving, I'm trying to take care of myself, and still, my body clearly decided it was enough to get a cold or to catch something else. That's when I realized I don't always understand how much stress I'm actually carrying. And I don't know how you feel, but most of the time, getting a cold or coming down with anything is always the one and foremost sign for me to understand, okay, my body is giving me a sign now. Something obviously stressed me out too much, and especially not the kind that does feel bad at first of stress, but then obviously I took a bad turn somewhere. We used to talk about stress as something very negative in this kind of perspective, especially when you connect sickness with negative or bad stress, like deadlines, pressure, different kinds of conflicts, exhaustion, especially mentally and sometimes, of course, physically. But what we forget is that positive stress, like excitement, ambition, constant movement, always being on, affects the body in a very similar way. And when the body doesn't get enough recovery and you have a bad sleep, like a person like me, it eventually speaks up, of course, sometimes quietly and sometimes through a cold or whatever. And that's why I'm here today. So while being sick, I picked up a book that I had on my shelf for a while, The Four Ways of Wellbeing by Nicola Elliott. And in this book, there's an interview with Dr. Deepak Ravindran, who talks about stress in a way that really landed for me in this moment. One sentence even stayed with me immediately. The brain cannot distinguish between physical and emotional pain. And if you're anything like me, sometimes stress feels like pain. And when I read that, something clicked and I felt understood. Because it means that emotional stress, mental overload, pressure, uncertainty, all of this is processed by the same system as physical danger or injuries, which makes totally sense. The body doesn't differ. Furthermore, Dr. Ravindran explains this through stress hormone, cortisol. By now, everybody should know what that is, I guess. And she talked about something what's called the HPA axis, basically a communication loop between the brain and the adrenal glands. When we perceive a treat, and that treat doesn't have to be dramatic, the body releases cortisol and adrenaline to prepare us for different kind of situations. So this is useful in short moments. But when that system stays active for too long, it becomes exhausting. Chronic exhaustion, bad sleep, being sleep deprived, or lowered motivation, all these kinds of things. Do they somehow seem familiar? So muscles stay tight, breathing becomes shallow, the immune system weakens. And suddenly getting sick doesn't feel so random anymore, especially when you're in the gym and after that you're always very, very much exhausted and feel like a little fevery. This is one of the biggest signs that your body is physically burned out, because maybe mentally is too. All of this is connected, but this is just the surface I'm scratching here today. Because another part that felt very relevant to me was how she talks about dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical connected to motivation and, of course, reward. It's not bad, but we need it. But when we constantly expose ourselves to small dopamine hits, notifications, news, messages, stimulation, it keeps the body in a subtle state of alert. Even if it's a positive message or using something like social media to divert your bad mood or whatever, it still calls to your body to always be in an alert kind of situation. You can't miss out, FOMO and whatsoever. But no need to panic. What I appreciated about Nicola Elliott's book is that she doesn't just explain why this happens. She focuses on how to support the body again, especially when we are already run down. She talks about 3 foundations that matter deeply when you're sick or close to a burnout: sleep, physical activity, mind to body techniques. Nothing revolutionary, and exactly why we forget them. So here's BRAINTED again to friendly remind you, and of course me as well. So to the topic sleep. Sleep is especially very important and becomes a non-negotiable when you're ill. Not perfect sleep, not optimized sleep, just enough rest to let the nervous system calm you down. Movement doesn't mean workouts. Sometimes it's just gentle stretching, slow walking, or changing positions to let the body breathe. And then there's the part I found very interesting is Yoga Nidra. It's a practice that sits somewhere between rest and awareness, deeply calming without effort. And I think it just brings all the 3 big parts together in one. Because she says if you go to yoga classes already, you may have seen Yoga Nidra class at your local studio and wondered what it's all about. Essentially, it is a form of guided meditation, also known as yogic sleep. It's become an increasingly popular tool in recent years for stress reduction, sleep efficiency, and soothing your jangled nervous system. James says Yoga Nidra is a powerful technique that helps you deeply relax and enter a blissful state between consciousness and sleep. The practice shifts us from the more active beta brain waves we experience in an awakened state to more restorative and mood-enhancing alpha waves. It's so funny because they have here 3 poses, and the first position is the pigeon pose, the second pose is the King Arthur's pose, and the supported fish pose. And this is so funny about the pigeon pose. They just say, so much of the tension we feel in our lower back actually originates in the deep glutes. Sitting all day and not using these powerful muscles can cause them to tighten or spasm, presenting as tension that radiates throughout the body, often without us realizing it. Pigeon gets deep into the external rotators of the hip and is a powerful tool to release whole body's tension and mental stress. And there are a lot of other examples I won't bore you with, but it's just a quick insight into that kind of technique, because I think this is what I'm going to try. And maybe it helps me to combine all the 3 states we should really take a deep look into: sleep, activity, mindful body, and mind connection. Reading this while being sick reminded me of something important. Getting ill is not a failure. It's often just a simple signal that stress, positive or negative, hasn't been fully processed. That the body needs space, not judgment. So if you're listening to this while feeling under the weather or just worn down, this is your gentle reminder. You don't need to fix yourself right now. You don't need to analyze everything. Sometimes the most supportive response is to stop adding pressure, even the pressure to heal quickly. I'm taking this cold as an invitation to sleep more, move gently, to let my nervous system settle, and maybe that's enough for today. As always, don't forget to stay BRAINTED. Thank you so much for being here today with me, even though I am struggling with a little cold, but I'm getting better every day. And I hope you have a wonderful winter time and hear you after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and take care. Bye-bye.